They were one of the biggest Zimbabwean musical sensations of the early 2000s. In an industry where urban grooves dominated, Major Playaz provided a somewhat alternative that echoed an international style that was the rule of the day. The young trio seemed to have a promising future ahead of them. But after less than a handful of hits, they seemed to disappear off the face of the planet. In this video, we set out to answer the questions: what happened to Major Playaz and where are they now? In the early 2000s, young Zimbabweans from all walks of life would gather around their TV sets every weekend to watch Coca-Cola on the Beat, a television show on the national broadcaster that showcased some of the latest international, regional and local music videos. It was a great time for music. Internationally, artists like 50 Cent, Nelly and Beyonce dominated, while acts like Mafiizolo, Mandoza and Oskido were regional favorites. Locally, a young man by the name of Delani Makalima was working tirelessly to develop artists in a new genre that was taking off locally, called urban grooves. Through his Galaxy Records, Delani produced music for artists such as Rocky, Plaxades, Decibel, and of course Major Playaz. But the story of how Major Playaz came to be dates back to before their time at Galaxy Records. As a matter of fact, the story of how they became a group is an interesting one. Sometime in 2001, brothers Richard and Thomas Marufu attended a talent show at the Maze nightclub in Harare. They were both rappers that were looking to advance their careers. A talented vocalist that was a student at the Zimbabwe College of Music was also amongst the contestants on that day. His name was Benson Chihawa. Little did the three know that a decision that the judges would make on that very day would change their lives forever. After listening to all the auditions, the judges returned with a proposal for Richard, Thomas and Benson. If the three wanted to advance to the final round, which was a live performance that paid $50 for each act, they would need to do it as a group. Obviously, the judges saw something special in them, but one wonders if pairing them up wasn't a way to cut costs and get three good acts for the price of one. Either way, the trio agreed. After the show, the three decided to continue as a group. Richard, aka Doughboy, Thomas, aka Dutch, and Benson, aka Chiller, would now go by the name Major Playaz, a name that was apparently suggested by Richard, the youngest of the three. They grew in popularity relatively quickly amongst the youth of Harare, being booked for shows week in and week out. Inevitably, Major Playaz caught the attention of some big names in the music industry. Amongst them was Delani Makalima. Delani was at the top of his game in the early 2000s. According to Youth Village, between the year 2000 and 2002, Delani produced over 37 number one hits and 49 top 10s. So when Delani showed interest, the trio listened. Later on that year, they signed to Delani Makalima's Galaxy Records. At the time, Delani was one of the beneficiaries of a 75% local content policy for broadcasting introduced by the then Information Minister, Professor Jonathan Moyo. According to Chiller, Delani wanted the trio to do a song that included vernacular so as to appeal to a wider audience. This arrangement gave birth to the group's first hit single, Shekum Zimbabwe, which saw the Marufu brothers add some Shona to their rap verses and Chiller add some Ndebele and Zulu to the chorus and bridges. The single got its fair share of airplay, but it would be 2 years later that the group would drop their debut album under another recording label. After leaving Galaxy Records, the trio signed to HCNN Records, where no expense was spared in the production of their debut album, The Construction, and their first single, Came to Party, and its subsequent video that left many fans in the country and the region in awe. As a result, Major Playaz received recognition beyond the Zimbabwean borders, even being featured on South Africa's Metro FM Hip Hop Unsigned charts hosted by Thibaut Touch. But like many others, due to the deteriorating economic situation in Zimbabwe, the group left for South Africa, seeking greener pastures. However, things didn't go as they had wished down south, so the group returned home. What happened when they returned would remain relatively unknown to the public until 2015, when Chiller released a single called Till I'm Done. In the song, Chiller vents out his frustrations at the Marufu brothers for stabbing him in the back. In an interview with the Herald in 2015, Chiller revealed that after returning from South Africa, he felt betrayed when he woke up to an empty house that the trio had shared, only to discover days later that the brothers had left for Australia. He narrated how he had sacrificed so much for the group and at one time sold his car and other possessions to finance their trip to South Africa. He said the brothers had planned the trip weeks before and hadn't bothered to tell him. We managed to get a hold of Chiller recently, who is now a born-again Christian based in South Africa. He says he now realizes that he could have addressed his frustrations in a more Christian way and that he holds no grudge against his former colleagues. He also dismissed his inclusion in any Major Playaz reunion and said that he no longer identifies as a major player but rather a major prayer as he continues to work on music about God and positivity. All our attempts to get in touch with the Marufu brothers bared no fruit. However, in 2019, in an interview with Zimbabwean.com, Richard Marufu, formerly known as Doughboy, revealed that over the years he has been involved in a number of business ventures that include real estate, running a law firm, and a number of tech startups. In 2019, he returned to music under the moniker Richard of Oz and released a single called Morning Star. Like Chiller, the lyrics in the song suggest Richard is a born-again Christian. In the interview with Zimbabwean, he states that he had given up on music to follow his faith in God, but God opened up doors for him that led to Rock Nation, where negotiations were still underway by the time the article was published. Richard never ruled out a Major Playaz reunion, stating that it was definitely not off the table at that point. We tried but failed to get any information on the whereabouts and activities of Thomas Marufu. If you have any info, please let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to like and subscribe. Please share with friends and let us know what you think in the comments.